Federal government insists integrated payroll personnel information system will expose atrocities in the university's system. Taraba House Speaker Peter Dyer resigns, Joseph Alkinjo to be sworn in. In international news, Britain honors its London Bridge attack victims with a vigil. And in sport, Rangers, Enyimba lose CAF Cup group openers.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The federal government is insisting the integrated payroll personnel information system will expose atrocities being perpetuated in the universities. IPPIS became operational 6 days ago. ASU has consistently opposed the scheme being driven by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. The union says IPPIS is in gross violation of the autonomy of federal universities as enshrined in the Universities Amendment Act of 2003, which is also called Universities Autonomy Act No. 1 of 2007. The union also argued that IPPIS fails to accommodate the peculiarities of the Nigerian university system. But in its first official reaction to the controversial unified payroll system, the Ministry of Education says ASU's opposition to the scheme was because of the irregularities and corruption perpetrated at the Ivory Towers. Spokesperson of the Federal Ministry of Education and Deputy Director of Press, Ben Bam Gung, says the federal government's decision was in the best interest of the union. He called on the university lecturers to reconsider their decision, noting that the threat of embarking on a strike is uncalled for and should be a last resort. The Nigeria Governors Forum has reacted to a comment credited to First Lady Aisha Buhari that things are getting out of hand in the country without the governors doing much about it. Aisha Buhari has earlier criticized state governors for neglecting the grassroots, saying citizens do not have access to potable water in some states. The First Lady was speaking at the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs General Assembly meeting in Abuja. In response, through a statement by spokesperson Abdulrazak Bakindo, the NGF says Mrs. Buhari's comments were not targeted as governors as they are working in their states to lift millions of citizens out of poverty. The Defense Headquarters has denied reports that it was recycling insurgency by recruiting former Boko Haram fighters. The HQ says 500 terrorists have been convicted by the courts, while the prosecution of another batch of insurgents would commence soon. There have been reports circulating that terrorists who surrendered to troops and underwent de-radicalization programs organized by the military were allegedly being absorbed into the military. A Defense Headquarters statement says the military has no plan to absorb de-radicalized insurgents into the military. The embattled Speaker of Taraba State House of Assembly, Peter Abel Dyer, has resigned after so many months of his alleged discord with Governor Darius Ishaku. Diaz, who is a 5-term representative for Mbaga constituency, is the longest-serving legislator in the House. Dyer says he resigned for personal reasons. He was elected during the inauguration of the 8th Assembly in June 2015 and was re-elected Speaker in April 2016 after the declaration of a rerun election in his constituency ordered by the Court of Appeal in Yola. Dyer got into trouble with Governor Ishaku following the removal of the erstwhile Deputy Speaker, Mohammed Gwampo. The Lagos State government says it has had to change the closing and resumption dates for public primary schools so it could implement an extensive retraining of teachers and prepare them for the new 2020 term. In a statement, Information and Strategy Commissioner Benga Omotosho said the new dates would not affect closing and resumption dates for private schools and government public secondary schools. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has promised to invest heavily in capacity training for public servants, especially teachers, to make them realize the government's vision for a technologically driven education system. And still in Lagos, the Lagos State Environmental and Special Offences Unit has been authorized to publicly auction more than 100 court-forfeited and abandoned vehicles. Agency's chairman, CSP Olayinka Egbeyemi, said the vehicles to be auctioned include 86 forfeited cars and 22 abandoned vehicles after they had been impounded by the enforcement team of the agency in different parts of the state for various traffic offences, including driving against traffic one way. A public auction is scheduled for tomorrow and Wednesday at the agency's car park in Ikorodu. While reiterating the state government's zero tolerance for violating traffic laws, the chairman maintained the agency will continue to prosecute traffic offenders until sanity is restored to our roads and until law-abiding citizens are allowed to commute without being impeded by unlawful individuals. Coming up, African stories, casualty figures rise in Tunisian bus crash. And later, international news. Video honoring London Bridge attack victims holds the London's Guildhall Yard.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to stories from across Africa. A bus crash in northern Tunisia has killed at least 26 persons. The tour bus was carrying 43 persons. The driver is said to have failed to negotiate a sharp turn, plunging the vehicle off a cliff in the town of Amdun on Sunday. An official from the tourism ministry said the bus had set off from the capital Tunis to the town of Ain Draham, a popular destination for Tunisians near the Algerian border. The health ministry said the death toll has risen to 26. President Kais Saied and Prime Minister Youssouf Chahed have visited the crash site. The president said he would work to rehabilitate and maintain the road that might have contributed to the accidents because of its poor condition. In 2011, the World Health Organization ranked Tunisia as having the second worst traffic death rate per capita in North Africa after war-torn Libya. Namibians have re-elected incumbent President Hage Geingob for a second term with 56.3% of vote cast. That is a sharp drop from the 86% polled 5 years ago. Election Commission figures released on Saturday evening showed Geingob, who leads the Southwest African People's Organization, SWAPO, well ahead of the party's dissident leader, Panduleni Itula, who got 30% of the vote. Opposition leader Makeri Venani received a paltry 5.3% of the vote. His party, the People's Democratic Movement, is still dogged by its ties to apartheid South Africa. That is believed to have discouraged many voters from casting ballots for the party. Opposition parties have rejected the result, claiming the election was marred by fraud and irregularities. But after the results were announced, President Hage Geingob said democracy is a real winner. And now that the election has been won, analysts say the act of governance must begin. And in focus is the state of the Namibian economy, on which they say the new Namibian administration would face challenges. Angela Kapola reports.
The key issue facing the new administration will be to revive the economy. Analysts say it's floundering, and that includes the purely managed state-owned entities. But there's another side to the economy that will also need immediate attention. It's been highlighted by the failure of the state-controlled anti-corruption watchdog to identify the alleged fraud and corruption around several fishing licenses.
So, I mean, the economy is right up there. That should be number one. And when we talk about the economy, we're talking about sort of the governance elements in the economy, the governance, state governance, and so on. So, good governance is a serious concern, and we see this with the corruption scandals that are now coming out, and so on, and the basic. How the SOE sector, state-owned enterprises sector, is just mismanaged, and the economy has basically collapsed. So, and it will probably prevail through 2020. So that definitely will be the major concern.
The other challenge facing an incoming SWAPO government is that the voter returns point to a serious challenge.
And there are hard decisions to make here, and I mean, it's an open question whether those decisions will be made. If the incoming president, if the incumbent's hand is weakened considerably by the results here, it will leave him very little room, in my estimation, to maneuver, to make those hard decisions. A purge of some sort will have to be, a clean out of some sort will have to be undertaken.
Regional Bloc Intergovernmental Authority on Development has picked Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok as its new chair. The decision was reached by consensus during the Ordinary Search Summit in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, over the weekend. It is seen as a compromise to avert fallout after Kenya and Djibouti differed over the seats. Giron Chale reports.
The Intergovernmental Authority on Development IGAD summit started with the endorsement of the former Ethiopian Foreign Minister Workene Gabayo as Executive Secretary. Workene has replaced Ambassador Mahabub Maalim. Then, with peace and security dominated agenda items on the table, the outgoing chair, also Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, has emphasized the importance of recommitting South Sudanese stakeholders.
We hope the South Sudanese parties will remain steadfast in their commitments to the full and effective implementation of the revitalized agreement they signed on September 12, 2018 here in Addis Ababa.
IGAD has also appreciated Somalia's progress.
It is a source of satisfaction to note that Somalia has come a long way from its difficult past. We appreciate that Somalia is currently working to consolidate the gains made in recent years and in charting a better future for its people.
Later, and as per the plan of the day, Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok has taken over the post of chairperson of the Eastern Africa bloc from his Ethiopian counterpart, Abiy Ahmed. Analysts say Sudan will have a lot of tasks as IGAD's chair.
Sudan is a bridge. They are one of the core countries of the Horn of Africa, and they are also members of the Arab League, and they have a long tradition of relationship with the Gulf countries. So the cumulative experience of the Sudan is unparalleled in the region.
Now, according to the outcome of this summit, IGAD heads of state came together not only to address peace and security matters, they have also discussed ways of restructuring and reforming the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. In the future, there will be a new restructured IGAD.
When we return, international news. Britain honors its London Bridge attack victims with a vigil. And later, sports. Rangers, Enyimba lose CAF Cup group openers. Welcome back. This is ANN News and international news. Britain is holding a vigil today, Monday, in honor of the two persons that were killed in London Bridge knife attack last week. 25-year-old Jack Merritt and 23-year-old Saskia Jones were killed on Friday when Usman Khan went on a rampage, stabbing people with kitchen knives at London Bridge. Bystanders confronted and subdued Khan, who was wearing a fake suicide vest. He was then shot dead by British police. The dead, injured, emergency services and members of the public who tackled Khan will be honored at the vigil that will hold in Guildhall Yard in the heart of the city of London. British politicians who would face off in a snap election in just under 2 weeks were quick to point fingers and apportion blame for the early release of Usman Khan after being sentenced in 2012 for terrorism and being declared a danger to the public. Prime Minister Boris Johnson deplored the fact Khan was out on the streets on early release. He calls it absolutely repulsive and promises action. Opposition Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn says convicted terrorists should not necessarily have to serve their full prison terms. Both dead men were involved in a Cambridge University Learning Together program to help educate and rehabilitate prisoners. Khan was attending a Learning Together event when he started his stabbing attack. The White House has told the chairman of the Judiciary Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives that U.S. President Donald Trump would not be represented at Wednesday's impeachment hearing. White House counsel Pat Cipollone said in his letter to the committee the White House could not participate in a hearing where he said witnesses are yet unknown. The lawyer said it remains unclear whether President Donald Trump would receive fair process through additional hearings. Legal experts will be at the first hearing to weigh constitutional grounds for impeachment. Democrats' main focus in their impeachment inquiry has now moved from fact-finding to the consideration of possible charges of misconduct over the president's Ukraine dealings. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and has continuously declared the impeachment inquiry as a witch hunt designed to remove a democratically elected president. Hong Kong's tourism industry has been badly affected by continuous violence demonstrations that have now lasted 6 months. The negative effects of the riots are felt heavily in the hospitality sector. Reporter James Pellman has the story.
Hong Kong has been a popular tourist destination, known for its majestic views from Victoria Peak. But 6 months of sometimes violent protests have taken a toll. According to the Hong Kong Tourism Board, tourist arrivals in October were down more than 40% over last year, the biggest drop since the SARS outbreak in 2003. Miss Al runs a concession stand at Victoria Peak. She says last year, 40 to 50 tour groups came through each day. Now it's less than 10.
1 year ago, I brought in 20,000 Hong Kong dollar a month. Now it's 3,000 to 4,000.
A year ago on a beautiful Saturday, the iconic Star Ferry would be packed, but today there's plenty of empty seats. The biggest decrease is with Chinese mainland visitors, down almost half from a year ago. Some fear they will be targeted by protesters. Many mainland visitors stop by Golden Bohemia Square for pictures with this statue erected in 1997 to mark the return of Hong Kong to China. Miss Wong is a tour guide here. A year ago, she led 20 tours a day. Now it's less than 5.
The number of tour groups is decreasing, but the ones that come still feels confident about Hong Kong.
That includes Miss Xu, who has visited Hong Kong before and this time brought her family.
My friend in Hong Kong told me that Hong Kong is safe. Things are getting back to normal and the protests have become more peaceful.
But she says she will be sure to avoid any demonstrations. Hong Kong's tourism industry hopes the protests will subside so the city returns to normal and the tourists return.
Up next, sports. Rangers, Ayimba lose CAF Cup group openers. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is ENN News in Sports. Enugu Rangers and Ayimba lost out this weekend after being defeated by North African clubs on Sunday as the CAF Confederation Cup group phase kickoff. Two-time African champions, Ayimba conceded twice within 19 minutes of the kickoff to lose 2-0 away to Moroccan outfitters Anaya Agadia, who reached the quarterfinals last season. Ibrahim Olawoyin put Rangers ahead on 29 minutes, but the battered after Olushesi was dismissed following a second yellow card just before half-time. Board members of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria would meet on Tuesday to resolve the crisis rocking the administration of athletics in Nigeria. Expected to top the meeting's agenda is the issue of expenditure of IAF grants for the 24th African Championships in Athletics in Asaba in August last year. Also on the agenda are issues surrounding the dismissal of AFN Technical Director Sunday Adeleye. The recent deal between the AFN and Puma would also be discussed. It was learned no details have been given to Puma's deal to sponsor Nigerian athletes' outfits at the 2019 World Championships.